Hi, good evening. Welcome to episode 7 of Wisdom Bites. In this Wisdom Bites episode, we discussed about the thoughts and quotes of different philosophers. So we started with Aristotle, and then in different episodes, we covered different philosophers. And today we are focusing on Immanuel Kant. Immanuel Kant was a German philosopher who is considered to be one of the most influential figure in modern Western philosophy. So he was born in 1724, and in 1724 the area name is quite difficult to pronounce for me, but now this area is called in is lying in the Russia, and he was known for the his moral philosophy. So to discuss on this topic and details about his quotation. He has many quotations, different quotations, but the quotation which we have selected for today's session is that only who himself is enlightened is not afraid of shadows. So he is talking about enlightenment, and he is talking about afraid of shadows. So we will be discussing about these points. So I would like to introduce my honorable guests. We have Ms. Hijab Hamid with us. Welcome, Hijab.
Assalamualaikum, sir. Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
Assalamualaikum.
And we have with us Fiza Hanif. Welcome,
Assalamu
Fiza.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, so, Hijab, I would like that before we start, if you can introduce yourself, and then we will get introduction from Fiza, and then we will discuss about the topic.
Sir, basically, I am working on different things as I have studied engineering and now I am working on different things like graphic designing, web designing, and I mainly I work for different uh, fields as I love to explore different things. So I always try my best to work in different domains and get more knowledge and learn different things and activities. So I will get indulged in many things. So right right now I am with you all on this session discussing about enlightenment and fear of shadows.
Right, great, Hijab. So, before I go to Fiza, we have our honorable Mr. Saurav Anand also with us. So, hi, Saurav. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, Liaquat. Good evening, everybody.
Good
Saurav is
evening, sir.
right from India, and he is our regular speaker from starting from episode 1, and he's very knowledgeable. Uh, Thank you, Saurav. Thank you for joining us. And also, we have with us Miss Mahnur. Assalamu alaikum, Mahnur. Mahnur, your voice is not there. I think you need to adjust your speaker. And soon, Miss Shazia will be also joining us. So, going to Fiza. Fiza, can you please introduce yourself so our audience will know about your background?
Assalamualaikum. My name is Fiza, and currently I am working at NAVAFIZ itself. This is my first experience about being a guest speaker, and I am excited about it, and I hope it goes well.
Right. So, now going to Saurabh, we will be starting this quotation from Saurabh. Saurabh, I have already gave short introduction of Emil Kant, that he was a German philosopher, and he was born in 1724, and the known for modern philosophy. So, and related to today's quote, I would like you to give short introduction of yourself, and then we will talk about this quotation. Over to you.
Sure. Sure. Good evening, friends. Good evening to all the participants once again. My name is Saurav Anand, and I am basically a banking professional with a domain in product management. I am also fond of writing articles, and a number of my articles have been published on LinkedIn as well. And I also have a blog on product management on my own. So I've also had the fortune of being part of some of the past discussions under NAVAFIZ, which Liaquat had organized, where we had discussed the teachings and quotations of various famous philosophers in the past. So that's a brief background about me. I can perhaps now give my views on today's interesting quotation now, Liaquat.
Yes, please.
So,
Yes,
yeah.
please.
So today's quotation is rather an interesting one, and like some of the previous quotations that we had discussed in the past, it can be interpreted in a multiple number of ways. Now, the quotation says, "One he who himself enlightened is not afraid of shadows," which is a famous quotation of German philosopher Immanuel Kant. One key theme around this quotation is enlightenment, which again can be interpreted in different ways. I would like to go back in history to the time of the Gautam Buddha, who was then known as Prince Siddharth. He was the founder of Buddhism, as we all know. It is said that once he was sitting under the Bodhi tree, he became Buddha, or the enlightened one. So, when viewed in that context, enlightenment is referring to knowledge. And the difference that I made of the Buddha becoming the enlightened one, after that phase, he went on to propose the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism, and his teachings were spread by his disciples across the length and breadth of the world. Now, one need not become a follower of Buddhism per se to follow the ideals of Buddhism, because whatever religion is followed across the globe, the key themes or concepts are broadly the same. Those are based around the principles of peace and universal brotherhood. In fact, in Hinduism, there is a concept which is called as Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam, which translated in English means the world is one family. So, looked at in this perspective, the term enlightenment is referring to knowledge. Another way of looking at enlightenment is to look at the textbook definition of what the enlightenment was. And it's dating back to the period of 16th and 17th century Europe, where this intellectual and philosophical movement of enlightenment took place. Now, that movement was characterized or based on three key themes. One was human happiness, the second was the pursuit of knowledge, and the third was ideals such as liberty, fraternity, toleration, and progress. However, if we look at some of these concepts, they may not be really very relevant to to the audience of today's discussion, and we may not be very comfortable with interpreting those in terms of how they translate into our day-to-day life. Hence, I looked at the comparison with the founder of Buddhism, Gautam Buddha, and his teachings, and as one part, and I would look at another part or another interpretation of the term enlightenment. Another interpretation of enlightenment is self-awareness. Going back to Greek philosopher Plato, who had famously said, "Know thyself." So, if we are in a position to know ourselves better, know what our strengths and weaknesses or areas of improvement are, we would not only be able to aspire for and apply for jobs or roles or professions which are aligned with our strengths and where we can utilize our skill sets to the best, we would also be able to contribute more to the organizations where we become members of those organizations, and also how we can contribute better to the society that we are part of. So, knowing ourselves, knowing our strengths and weaknesses and areas of improvement will help us not just get into the right kind of roles, organizations, professions, but also become better professionals and better human beings. Now, I'll try to quickly touch upon the concept of shadows, which is coming towards the end of the quotation. The way I look at it is shadows could be referring to any particular event or incident or episode, either in our personal life or professional life, which was not very pleasant and which fills us with a sense of sadness or regret. It could be an episode in our personal life, such as the loss of a close relative, or some episode or event in our professional life. For instance, an organization where we were not very well aligned with either our line manager, or there was certain other issue that were affecting our performance and so on. So whether it is a personal or a professional experience, the reference to shadows could be to some episode or incident which was not very pleasant, as I said earlier. Now, as long as we have that knowledge that every event or every episode is not in our control, and as long as we are able to take learnings out of those events or incidents, I believe we should be doing fine in terms of contributing well to our personal and professional lives and the world that we are part of. So, these are some of the ways in which I would interpret the quotation from Immanuel Kant in terms of interpretation of the term enlightenment, in terms of interpretation of the term shadows. On the lighter side, since I'm fond of giving anecdotes from the world of sports, I would like to touch upon a small part of the sporting event called the FIFA World Cup, which I'm sure the audience would have been well aware of, which got concluded recently in Qatar. It is said that Lionel Messi, by winning the FIFA World Cup, emerged from the shadows of his idol, the late legendary footballer Diego Maradona. So that was on the lighter side. Interpreted in an overall manner, I believe there are a number of learnings that we can take out of Immanuel Kant's quotation in terms of how we look at enlightenment, how we look at shadows, and how by reflecting upon our strengths and weaknesses on one side and upon events in our personal and professional lives on the other, we can look forward to becoming better professionals and indeed better human beings. So those are some of my thoughts around this quotation, Liaquat. Over to you.
Excellent, excellent, great. You have covered in a great way, starting from the history and coming till the FIFA World Cup. So it was good to hear from you. Now I would request Fiza Hanif to give her perspective, what she thinks about what Saurav has explained, and what is your perspective on this quotation that only who is enlightened. What is the enlightened from your point of view, and what is the meaning of shadows from your point of view? Over to you, Fiza.
Thank you. First of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to speak about this. Firstly, I would like to say that I think what Saurav said, how he explained it, it was really insightful. It was really learning for me as well. Now about what I think about this code. So as Saurabh also said it, that basically the main theme is enlightenment. So what I think about enlightenment is, or what, if we go back about this whole code or how it was used in the history in the 17th or 18th century, in about this code. They started it, and it was like they wanted like the people to stop relying on religions and stop relying on others to help them, and starting to get up for themselves and helping themselves and research from for themselves. you know जब हम we're just blindfoldedly following others for everything, be it in a religion or be it in any other aspect. So it was for that कि it's very important कि आप if you need to learn anything or if you need to know anything, तो आप उसके लिए खुद वर्क करें, उसके लिए खुद जो है वो मेहनत करें और उस चीज़ को खुद सीखें, उस चीज़ को खुद जानें. Secondly, as Saurav as well said, that enlightenment also has a connection with self-awareness. क्योंकि you're enlightened when you're self-aware of yourself. जब आप खुद को जानते हैं, और आप खुद को तब जान सकते हैं when you are mature enough, when you're mentally mature. और mentally आप तब mature हो सकते हैं. I think being surrounded by positive people, that plays an important part, because you need to be surrounded by people who can help you grow in life. If you're surrounded by negative people जिनसे आप बहुत यूजलेस बातें करते हैं और आपकी लाइफ के कोई गोल्स नहीं होते, आप उनसे कोई इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ें डिस्कस नहीं कर सकते हैं, तो यू कैन नॉट एक्चुअली ग्रो और यू कैन नॉट एक्चुअली बी मेच्योर, right? So I think that's an important part if you need to grow or if you need to learn, if you need to be self aware of yourself.
Excellent, excellent. Now I would request Hijab to give her point of view that what Saurabh has said and whatever Fiza has highlighted. Fiza, you have explained it in a great way. And what let's see what hijab perspective. Over to you, hijab.
First of all, I will say that Saurabh and Fiza have described things in a very great manner. According to me, enlightenment mean you have light or something in yourself, or getting, or even we, if we are talking about, as Saurabh said, knowledge or self awareness, I connect this thing, knowledge with light. The light means नूर. नूर खुदा का जो नूर है ना, उससे जो आप कनेक्ट करते हैं इल्म को, खुदा के नूर से कनेक्ट करके जो आप अपने अंदर एक रोशनी लाते हैं, उसकी उसकी बात मेरे हिसाब, मेरे पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू के हिसाब से, वो चीज, वो नूर है जो नूर आप अपने अंदर लाते हैं, और फिर वो जो नूर आपके अंदर एक सुकून, एक सुकून लाता है, आपको मेंटली, फिजिकली और इमोशनली कामनेस देता है, उसको आप इनलाइटमेंट कह सकते हैं। जैसे कि हम लोग डिफरेंट रिलीजन में डिफरेंट बिलीव्स हैं। अब जैसे अगर हम, जैसे सर सौरभ ने बहुत अच्छे से एक्सप्लेन किया कि बुद्धिज्म में इनलाइटमेंट का बहुत मतलब इम्पोर्टेंट एस्पेक्ट है, तो बुद्धिज्म के अलावा मतलब अगर हम दूसरे रिलीजन के हिसाब से देखे जाए, तो इस्लाम में अगर हम किसी चीज को रिलेट करते हैं, इस्लाम में अगर हम देखते हैं, तो हम खुदा के नूर को या खुदा के इल्म को अपने लिए इनलाइटमेंट समझते हैं, या कुरान को अपने लिए इनलाइटमेंट का जरिया समझते हैं, जिससे हम सीख कर खुद के अंदर वो चीज, अपनी वो नॉलेज गेन करके खुद के अंदर वो सुकून ला सकते हैं, वो ठहराव ला सकते हैं, जो हमें दुनियावी चीजों से डिस्कनेक्ट करके हमें हमारे साथ कनेक्ट करता है, और हमें बाकी चीजों की चाहत या उनके सफरेंस की उसमें से निकाल देता है। इस जैसे कि कुरान में सिर्फ कुरान, इस्लाम में लोग दो एस्पेक्ट से चीजों को कनेक्ट करते हैं। जैसे कि एक होते लॉजिकल थिंकिंग्स पे जाते हैं, जैसे कि साइंस की बात की जाए तो हम लोग लॉजिकल थिंकिंग के हिसाब से साइंस चलती है, और दूसरी हम रिलीजियस बिलीफ के ऊपर चलते हैं। जैसे कि फिजा ने कहा कि रिलीजियस बिलीफ होंगे, या अगर हम कह लें इससे रिलीजियस बिलीफ के ऊपर अगर ज्यादा बात ना करें, क्योंकि वो लोगों के सेंटिमेंट्स को हर्ट कर जाती है, क्योंकि कई बार इस पॉइंट को लोग अच्छे से समझ नहीं पाते। हम लोग रिलीजियस बिलीफ से लेकर जो कुछ चीजों को अपनी मिथ बना लेते हैं और उन मिथ के ऊपर चलते हैं, वो हमारे लिए एक बहुत ही नेगेटिव पार्ट होता है। हम लोग उस चीज से आगे बढ़ नहीं पाते, हम सीख नहीं पाते, और हम लोग उधर ही कहीं ना कहीं स्टक होके रह जाते हैं। तो अगर मैं, मेरी जितना मैंने स्टडी किया, या मतलब मैंने उस हिसाब से अगर देखा जाए, जैसे कि मुस्लिम लॉजिकल और उस लॉजिकल चीजों के साथ अल्लाह के इल्म को या कुरान को अपना रेफरेंस समझकर जो चलते हैं, या खुद को स्पिरिचुअली इनहेंस कर लेते हैं, उसको वो इनलाइटमेंट के जरिए में ला सकते हैं। जैसे कि सिख रिलीजन का बिलीफ के हिसाब से अगर हम देखा जाए, तो वो समझते हैं कि उनके सबके अंदर एक नूर है, हर इंसान के अंदर खुदा का नूर है, सबके दिल में खुदा का नूर लाए करता है, पर हमें उस नूर को समझने की या उस इल्म को जानने के लिए खुद स्ट्रगल करनी है, और जब हम उस चीज को समझ लेंगे या अचीव कर लेंगे, तो हम इनलाइटन वन हो जाएंगे। जैसे कि उनकी सबसे बेस्ट एग्जाम्पल है, वो मानते हैं कि हमारे 10 के 10 जो गुरुज हैं, या स्पेशली गुरु नानक देव जो हैं, वो इस चीज के, वो सबसे ज्यादा इनलाइटमेंट के उसका हिस्सा थे, उनके अंदर सबसे ज्यादा नूर था, वो रब के इल्म से ज्यादा मुनव्वर थे। तो अगर इसमें इसी तरह हम क्रिश्चियंस को देखें, तो क्रिश्चियंस का बिलीव है वो अपने क्रिएटर की बात को, वो लॉजिकल थिंकिंग को तो मानते ही हैं, पर वो अपने, उनका स्टार्टिंग पॉइंट मतलब इंसान कहाँ से आया है या उसका क्रिएटर कौन है, उस पॉइंट को लेकर इनलाइटमेंट की चीज को चलते हैं। इवन अगर आप कुछ चीजों कुछ ज्यादा थोड़ा डिटेल में जाएं, तो क्रिश्चियनिटी कहीं ना कहीं इनलाइटमेंट को इल्यूमिनाटी या बाकी चीजों में, रिविलेशंस में या उन चीजों में भी बिलीव रखती है। बाकी बाकी मुस्लिम, अगर हिंदुइज्म में भी वो अपने गॉड को, जो उनके गॉड हैं, उनको यही मानते हैं कि जो उनके गॉड हैं उनको सारी चीजों की नॉलेज है, वो हर हर सिचुएशन से वेल अवेयर हैं, तो वो हर चीज, आने वाली चीज से भी और जो बीत गई उस सब चीजों से सेल्फ अवेयर हैं, तभी वो सबसे बड़े हैं और खुदा हैं। मतलब बाकी सब खुदाओं में से भी सबसे ज्यादा जो नॉलेजेबल है वो एक खुदा, उसको वो इनलाइटन वन मानते हैं। और बाकी बुद्धिज्म के बारे में तो सर सौरभ ने बहुत अच्छे तरीके से एक्सप्लेन किया है। वो भी दो चीजों को मानते हैं कि एक चीज जो हम एक नजरिए को लेके चल रहे हैं, जिस एक चीज जो हमारे सामने हो रही है उस नजरिए को लेके चल रहे हैं, उसको उसको और जो खुदा की कुदरत है, मतलब जो कुदरत का निजाम है और कुदरत की तरफ से जो चीज हो रही है, अगर हम उन दोनों को साथ कंबाइन करते हैं, वैसे ये दो अल्टीमेट अलग चीजें हैं कि एक हमारी अपनी परसेप्शन होती है और एक इंसान की परसेप्शन के अलावा एक कुदरत होती है। अगर हम इन दोनों को साथ लेके एक चीज को एक सिचुएशन के सामने लेके चलें, तो वो उस चीज को वेल अवेयर या सेल्फ अवेयरनेस या उसको इनलाइटमेंट को मानते हैं। उस मेरे इसमें
Great.
ओवरऑल बात ये मेरा मानना है कि जो नॉलेज है, नॉलेज ही वो रोशनी है जो आपको आपके अंदर वो आपके अंदर आपके अंदर वो रोशनी जगती है। जब वो रोशनी जग जाती है, तो आप लोग उस सुकून में या कामनेस की स्टेट में आते हो। और आपको जब दुनिया की चीजें या होने वाली आपके इर्द गिर्द की चीजें आपको वो सफरेंस नहीं फील कराती, तो आप एक उस स्टेट ऑफ इनलाइटमेंट में पहुंच जाते हो। मतलब आप कहीं ना कहीं स्पिरिचुअली इनहेंस हो जाते हो। जैसे कि हम वलियों की एग्जांपल ले सकते हैं कि वली जो है वो सेम ही वो है, तो हम जैसे इंसान ही, पर वो उस चीज पे स्पिरिचुअली खुद को इनहेंस कर चुके हैं, खुद को कनेक्ट कर चुके हैं उस रोशनी से, उस नॉलेज से, उस और खुद को उस चीज से मुनव्वर कर चुके हैं। तो वो इस स्टेज पर हैं कि उनको दुनियावी चीजें अफेक्ट नहीं करती हैं। तो इनलाइटमेंट
Great.
मेरे हिसाब से तो यही है।
ग्रेट ग्रेट हिजाब ने आई थिंक एक एक डिफरेंट पर्सपेक्टिव और एक डिफरेंट एंगल से चीज़ों को हाईलाइट किया है. वी विल टेक फीडबैक ऑफ सौरभ एंड फिजा आल्सो ऑन वट एवर हिजाब हैज एडेड अप. In between we have Shazia Noreen also with us. So before we move to Shazia, we have some comments from Nadir. Nadir is saying insightful, and Nadir Muhammad Abbasi is saying enlightenment or understanding can provide a sense of inner strength and resilience that allows a person to face difficult challenges and overcome their fears. So I agree. Nadir has explained it also in a great way. कि basically जो knowledge है या जो awareness है, it gives you a power. It gives you, because sometimes when you are unaware from the things, you get more afraid of things. Or if you face a sudden problem, a sudden attack, you become more worry, and your inner peace get disturbed. But when there is understanding and you have the knowledge, then you know the big picture. When you know the big picture, you can get more clear understanding and more confidence, basically, uh, on whatever you are doing or what is the cause of your peace. So basically, if we take it from the confidence building point of view, what gives you confidence is basically your knowledge and your enlightenment. Thank you, Nadir, for your valuable feedback. And then we have from Sundaresan. It's difficult to pronounce your name. I think you need to give a short name also, so we can. I think Saurabh can help us. Saurabh, if you can pronounce the name, and then he's saying Namaskar.
Yeah, the name is Mr. Sundaresan Ganesan.
Uh, right, right,
Sundaresan Ganesan Ganesan.
right. It's like it. I don't want to offend, but it looks like a little tongue twister. Uh,
Yeah.
Now, I would request Shazia. Shazia, you have heard the point of view of Saurav and Fiza and Hijab also. So, I would like if you can give your point of view also. So, over to you, Shazia.
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. I'm very sorry my camera is not working today, but I hope the we are having is a great topic itself. And I was thinking, there's a lighter mode of this statement, that is, if you think that you are the wisest one amongst your friends, then it's the time to change your friends. So, like as Fiza, she said that we need to surround ourselves with positive people. So, that's really, really very important to become more wiser. And especially the quotation we are talking about, I think the enlightenment, which can talk about, I take it as hikmat or wisdom. The more wiser you become, that is, it means that more enlightened you become, so that you can deal with your daily issues as well. And as Mr. Saurabh also mentioned, that being more practical when it comes to job scenarios and other situations of life. And likewise, hijab has touched the point which little bit I will also touch. She said the nur of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is also help us to become more wiser, and at the same time, the shaur, or becoming more aware of ourselves. These are the things which help us to deal with all those shadows which we are talking about. It can be either our own lack of confidence in certain things, but the more we become aware about the situation, it helps us to deal with those type of issues as well. So I would like to share one of the statement, that an intelligent man always tries to prove his point, and a wise man knows there is really no point. And likewise, an intelligent man thinks he knows everything, but a wise man knows that there is still something to learn. So that is how, when we keep on learning, we keep on moving towards the journey of being enlightenment. And little bit, if we talk about the blessings which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to all of us, we have been blessed in so many different areas. Some of us, we are very intelligent. Some of us, we are very self-disciplined. Some of us, we have good families. We have different opportunities to learn. So in Quran, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, that what is the greatest blessing? That is hikmah, or the wisdom. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned in the Quran that وَمَن يُؤْتِ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. The one who is going to get wisdom, or the one who is going to become enlightened, that is the person who has been blessed abundantly. So becoming wiser is basically one of the way by which we can deal with our shadows, or the things which either maybe our fears, for example. So now the question is, like, how we can become more wiser. And the first key to become more wiser is self-awareness. And I think one of the participants also mentioned about being more self-aware. So it's like, knowing more about ourselves, our own personality, our own habits, being more self-disciplined, for example, and at the same time drawing a timeline of our life, like how God has taken you from a journey from one point to the other, and the next and the next. So when you keep on thinking about these things, it also helps you to understand about yourself. Mm, Especially mistakes as well, जो हमारी जिंदगी में गलतियां हम करते हैं. That is one of the greatest way to learn about ourselves, कि कहाँ मेरी क्या गलती थी, and how I can improve, how I can learn, and how I can become better as well. अभी आप देखें, समटाइम ऐसे होता है कि लोग जो है वो बात करते हैं कि हम किसी पे ट्रस्ट नहीं कर सकते, फॉर एग्जांपल. So, or maybe they keep on trusting the same wrong type of people in their life, and then at the end they say nobody is good. So actually, why it is happening? Because they are not learning how to trust people. They are not learning from their previous mistakes. That is why they continuously keep encountering with the same type of people who either cheat on them, or who either uh, you know um, cheat them in their business, or give like any type of fraud, for example. So coming back to becoming more wise, one of the clue is our own problems, our own mistakes, our own shortcomings, from where we can become more wiser, inshallah.
Great, great. It was really great to hear you, Shazia. It was, I think, uh, you highlighted in a great way, totally different angle and different aspects. You highlighted about the self confidence and self awareness also, and so many other points. Now, I would like to have a short review from Saurabh about what has been said by Shazia and Hijab and Fiza. Overall, what is your reviews before we go to the concluding remarks?
Yeah, sure. So I just quickly try to summarize what the fellow participants have been talking about, or the key themes that they've touched upon. Fiza's views were around the concept of self reliance. And again, she touched upon the 17th and 18th century Europe and the original concept of the Enlightenment, which was a kind of further expansion of some of the points that I had mentioned. So, the key theme that she talked was self reliance and not being dependent on others. So, moving on to the views that Hijab gave, she further expanded on some points that I had touched, and she gave examples of other religions of the world, such as Christianity, Islam, and Sikhism, and so on, and further expanded on some of the concepts that I had briefly touched upon. So, I believe her views were also very impactful and very relevant in today's world. Moving on to Shazia, her key theme was around us being in a position to learn from our shortcomings, because all of us have certain strengths and weaknesses, which I had also touched upon. And there will always be some mistakes that we would have committed, or some areas where, if we are able to improve upon, we can become either better professionals or better members of the society that we are part of. So I believe her focus was around some of the learnings that we can derive, and through which we can become better individuals and better members of the society. Going back to some of the points that I had touched upon, because the core audience of this session is job seekers, I had tried touching upon some of the things or some of the themes that would be of relevance to the audience, which is that if we are, as job seekers, well aware of what are our key areas of strength, what are our skill sets, and the skill sets need not be only technical skill sets such as coding and business development and so on. It could be some of the softer skills also. For example, things like working with people, being adaptable, having good communication skills, and all of that. So, which are the roles, which are the professions, which are the organizations where our skill sets, be it technical or interpersonal or softer skill sets, can be best utilized? If we are able to answer those, if we can list down what are our strengths and weaknesses, and by our interaction with people working in the industry where we want to build our careers, we are able to figure out which are the roles, professions, jobs, and organizations where our technical and interpersonal skills can be best utilized. I think that will be something which would be really great, and something which will keep all our job seekers in the right phase as far as looking out for better career opportunities is concerned. So that's how I like to summarize. And I had already touched upon Immanuel Kant's quotation. And as all of our participants have mentioned, there are different aspects that can be derived, or different interpretations that can be made of this quotation. As long as we are self-aware, as long as we are knowledgeable about our own strengths, areas of weaknesses, and so on, and work towards improving our mistakes and shortcomings while further strengthening our areas of strength, I think we should be doing well in life.
Great, great, superb. Now I would request Fiza, I would request you for the closing remarks from your side. We can go to Hijab and Shazia then, and we will wind up the session.
So, yes, I think it was a really good session, and as Saurav also said, that all of us we have our different views and our different interpretations of every single things. We all see things differently, and we all explained how we see them, and it was really good, and it was really learning. So, thanks.
Right, right. Thank you, thank you. Over to you, Hijab. Your closing remarks.
Sir, according to as already everyone has mentioned their point of view and discussed different things and uh, about the topic. I must say that as Saurabh and Shazia Ma'am Shazia has mentioned that self-awareness thing, and please also touch this thing. I must say that we are self-aware. Sometimes we all are already self-aware about ourselves, but we are not accepting ourselves in that way because we are not in that state of mind, or you can say that we are not in that part that we accept ourselves in that situation. We always think we are on a higher level, so we are not accepting our weaknesses, or we are not working on them. So we are basically every person is self aware. They are not like that. They are not in that thing that we are not self aware or something else. They are self aware, but they are not accepting their faults or their strengths and weaknesses, or they are not accepting themselves in that way. When we accept ourselves in all ways, like if we are not capable enough of something, we have to accept that. We have to work in different domain or in different way, in different side, to enhance our capability or skills, to develop different skills to grow more and enhance our knowledge. But we are basically sticking to something and we are not working on that, and we always try to uh, we always rush in different things and we never find a way to settle some at some place. So in job thing, as Sora mentioned that for this is for job seekers. In jobs we are just finding things which is easy for us. We are not working on hard things, or no, we are not going to learn for new things. As I already mentioned, I am my background as for studies, I am an engineer, but I have worked in different domains. Like I have basically firstly I work in e-commerce, which was very new for me. And as a first job, I don't know how to work and how to think as a new member. I learned so many things in 2 years about e-commerce and their concept. I try to accept things. Sometimes things are not in your way. Sometimes you are not in that way to accept that things. But I try my hard to go with them. It's not it's
Great,
not the
great,
way
excellent.
my way or
Excellent, Hijab. Especially from your personal point of view, you have also highlighted that you have been to adopting the things and
when we one
broaden your
when
spectrum.
we yes
That's really
when
great.
we learn how to adopt things. Yeah, yes,
Yes, great.
when
So now I
we
would request
when we
Shazia.
learn how to adopt things and grow, so we will grow in better manner.
Right, right. Excellent, excellent, great. So, Shazia, I would like to hear your point of view overall and your closing remarks also.
Thank you so much. I will say that today you have selected a very appropriate day to talk about Wisdom Bites, which is the last evening of 2022. And I will say that we all need to become more clear in our life. Clear thinking is something which helps us to move on in our life and dealing with our shadows and the things which disturb us. So, clear thinking is very, very important. And if anybody is here to, decide certain things for the next upcoming year, inshallah, for 2023, so I will say we all need to become more clear thinker in our daily life. Even if we are doing certain things, um, daily plans, for example, or short-term plans, long we need clarity in our life to become more successful. Inshallah. Thank you so much.
Inshallah. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I would just take last comments from Sundareshan. There is some echo, I think, from somebody's. So I will just mute all. Yeah, Sundaresh and thanks to invite and participate in this useful session and really interesting facts. And thank you, Mr. Liaquat, Saurabh, Fiza, Hijab, and Shazia. So same message from my side. Thank you, everyone. It was really great to see you all and see your thoughts. So happy New Year and take care. Bye and have a great next happy